He's Blake Sebring, I'm Glenn Marini, and we are talking Inside the Zone, Komets hockey style here on Wayne.com. And Blake, another 5-point week, although with 4 games. But let's start off with what is kind of a veiled positive, if you will. Scott Fleming had an MRI on the ankle. The positive is that the MRI is a negative.
Yeah, there's no tendon damage or ligament damage. Right now they're treating it as a sprain. Scott was in a walking cast all weekend, and from what David Franke told me today, he seemed to respond positively with that, and he is going to make the trip to Florida. And they don't know if he's going to play or not, but I mean, the fact that he might is a positive.
And Jason Dale, placed on the 21-day IR late last week. What can you tell us about his situation, what the prognosis is long-term for Jason? Because he came in and did a nice job. Well,
it was kind of a numbers game, too. Scott came back, and they were going to have to release somebody, or they could put Jason on IR and say, you know what, it's a groin. You never know with groins either. You know, could just give you a little extra time. And I think that's kind of what happened. Well, then Scott got hurt, and then you needed him, but, you know, that's the breaks of the game.
Yeah, definitely. But definitely good news to see that Scott Fleming it's not going to be a long period of time, whereas it could have been, some people were speculating, it could have been even a season-ending injury. Everybody's a doctor.
I'm not sure who was speculating that, because I never heard that at all.
All right, well, let's talk.
Not from anybody that's informed, at least.
Exactly. What going into this week is most important, because you look at the standings right now, as always, there has been this whole season, there's a logjam, and Florida is the team right there with the Komets. So this is an important week when you've got Florida Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. What are you most looking forward to about this week?
I think they've got to find a way just to maintain the momentum. That's why I thought Sunday's game was really important. And the way they played in the third period Sunday was really big. I mean, they didn't come out and just back into the win. They came out and really forced the action, and they were aggressive. And it's like, you know, you kind of need to win 2 out of 3 maybe down there. Shoot for that and see what happens. But you got to keep this momentum going, because there's a sense that it's a little fragile. You know, I mean, especially with the way they've been so inconsistent at home. But they're great on the road, and if they could win 2 out of 3, you know, and just to maintain the momentum, it would be a good thing.
We mentioned 3 games on the road, all at Florida this week. Meisner's been great away from home. Is this a week where we see Meisner more than Mack?
It could be. Ben had a calf problem. He got dinged up in warm-ups Friday night. That's why he didn't play the weekend. I think he's itching to go. And his folks are going to be down there, I think. So he'll be really excited to play down there.
Yeah, it was kind of odd that we didn't see him play in Kalamazoo. You figure that's right in his wheelhouse on Saturday night.
But that's because he got hurt Friday night. So
offensively, Dean Ouellette picks up his first goal in a Komets uniform.
Boy, he's been a nice addition, hasn't he?
Well, what do you think going forward he can add to this team now that he's started to see things, I guess, with Comet-colored glasses
Sure.
on?
Well, I think when you get Scott Fleming back, or you get Jason Dale back, then you've got 3 top 2-line centers, and you can play one of them on the second line, and suddenly your second line might be, you know, comparable to your first line with Mbach and maybe Carter or Christian Ouellette. I mean, you suddenly got 2 really, really solid offensive lines. And then your third line, you could have, just for the sake of discussion, you could have Jason Dale, and maybe you could have Ouellette or Mbach on there. And that's 2 out of 3 guys that can score right there. And Sedlowski's been playing a lot better, too. So suddenly you've got really good offensive presence on all 3 lines.
And you mentioned Carter. He started to heat up. He scored 2 goals on Sunday.
Oh, they were pretty, too.
Yeah, and what can he bring to this team?
Well, I think I get the sense from the few games we've seen, Matt, that Matt's a finisher. And you could see that Sunday the way Brandon Marito set him up twice. And Brandon just had an amazing game Sunday with 3 assists, and they were 3 of the prettiest assists that Komets have had all season. But it's like he kind of set up Matt a couple times, and Matt just, all he had to do was shoot. You know, you kind of get the sense that Matt's going to be a finisher. He's good at skating into the net versus just standing at the net. He's really accurate that way, too.
I'm glad that you brought up Marino, because that was my next question, the next topic I wanted to talk about.
He had kind of a weird weekend, too.
Well, statistically, right now, in terms of points and in terms of assists, he's number 1 in the ECHL. Do you think, at the end of the season, is Brandon Marino a serious MVP candidate for this league?
I was trying to think a little bit about that this week. I'm definitely think he's a candidate. I'm not sure yet if he wins, because I don't know what South Carolina's got. You know, they've been playing really well. I don't know if it's their goalie or what I haven't had the chance to even look at that stuff yet. I haven't even looked, and you got to take the Western Conference into account, and I haven't looked at any of that either. The games with 7 games in 10 days recently, there wasn't time to do laundry, Glenn.
What? Are you telling me that you didn't have anything else going on?
No.
7 games in 10
Not
days.
with volleyball or, anything else, or the 6 obituaries or 5 obituaries I had to write and everything, yeah.
So, kind of busy?
Kind of just a tad.
Like mid-season form busy.
But it's kind of cool because at least they're playing well and they are more fun to be around. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if they win, lose, or draw. I still have to go. But when they're in a better mood, it's a little easier that way. And
my final question as we wrap things up this week, you mentioned kind of the fragile state of their confidence.
I'm not sure it's their confidence. I think it's everybody else's
people's confidence in them.
Yeah, because they're really tight right now. They are really something in that locker room. You go to practice and like an hour and a half after practice is over, there's still 5 or 6 guys hanging around. That never happened in the first half of the year. It just didn't. Guys were out of there within 10 minutes of practice being over. And now there's guys playing ping pong or just sitting there talking to each other. It's a different place. And I think you can see that on the ice with their chemistry and their camaraderie and stuff. And they like each other. And they like Gary. I know a lot of fans don't. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. As long as those guys in the room do, the rest of it is totally irrelevant. It really is. It's sad but true. You don't mean to be rude about it, but as long as those guys are buying in, it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. And they're buying in.
Is it weird, though, that the group that is gelling is a group that's kind of an amalgamation of players from everywhere else, as opposed to the hand-picked guys that we saw at the beginning of the season?
It's how many times did we talk about, Glenn, did they try to put together the best team or the best players? Did they try to put together a best first line, second line, third line, or did they try to get all the best first liners they could? I got the sense they tried to get all the best first liners they could, and it didn't fit. And now you bring in a guy like Mbach and a guy like Oulet. They don't care where they play as long as they're playing. They're like, I don't care. Just leave me alone. Let me go out there and do what I do, and we're going to be fine. And they do it. And you look at the advancement of Hartman and Lacasse. They have really developed into a solid defensive pairing. It's like, and Coyle and Martine were pretty good too. It's like things are slotting into place all of a sudden, and that's had a big impact on how well they've done too.
Yep, the attitude, the times are changing with the Komets, and it's really been interesting to see over the last 3 weeks, 4 weeks, how far this team has come.
Well, you get Fleming and Dale back too yet. And you might actually someday.
No. We won't get anybody from Utah or Orlando or anyone like that.
We don't.
That would only be a bonus.
Yeah, why go there?
It's a fantasy world.
But
it's a fantasy world in which we live, and we will talk about it every Monday right here on Inside the Zone. No better person to talk Komets with than Blake Sebring. He'll join us next Monday. I'm Glenn. We'll see you then.